And this is a reading from Master's book, Whispers from Eternity. Demand for the opening of spiritual temple doors everywhere. O Father, when I was blind, I found not a door which led to thee. But now that thou hast opened my eyes, I find doors everywhere, through the hearts of flowers, through the voice of friendship, through sweet memories of all lovely experiences. Every gust of my prayer opens a new door in the vast temple of thy presence. Thanks. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Dambara, and this is not my wife, Manisha. This is Lorna, and we are grateful that she is here today. Manisha's a little down for the count today. We've had a very, very fun farmers retreat at Laurelwood this weekend, where we've invited and collected farmers from the various Ananda farms. So the Ananda Valley farm down in Palo Alto has a couple that came up from there, and that's Eric right there. Raise your hand, Eric. Hello.
Hello,
And
Eric.
is Amara here? Right there. There's Amara. Hi, Amara. And then from Ananda Camino Island, Ananda Farm in Camino Island up in Washington, we've got 3 folks down. Raise your hands if you're here today. Okay, there's one. There's Stanley. And there's Sharon. We know Sharon. And then Glenda. Is Glenda here?
No.
Not here. Okay. So, and then we have David Dasi from Ananda Village. Right there. Hello, David Dasi. And then we have all the Laurel Woodians who are always doing their thing out there. So it's been really fun, and way more fun than we thought, where people are just sharing all the neat things that they're doing in their various locations with, pictures, slideshows, and questions galore, just firing back and forth. So it's a nice germination, all these farm terms that we could use. But so to plow the ground for future, okay, I'll stop with that. But anyway, it's been really fun. So this topic of, it's a pretty cosmic topic, just God incarnating, and the whole idea of Jesus appearing and people not really recognizing who he was. John the Baptist bore witness of that light, but Christ was the light. And then the ever boisterous Indian dialogues between Devi Mukherjee and Master back then, talking about, but you are God. Well, but you say. It's really a fun, hearty give and take, as they often did then. But what it all comes down to is, how do we apply that in our daily lives? And how do we recognize that light within ourselves? It's easy to talk about the masters as they're something different from us, separate from us, but we make a mistake if we do that. Because what they're trying to say is, no, it's in you too. Recall what Jesus was saying to the disciples. It's like, don't look there and there. The kingdom of God is inside of you. And his whole purpose in being here, the whole purpose of all the spiritual masters when they come to us, is to say, just like that Gita quote, where whenever virtue declines and vice predominates, I come again, fortunately. In our own minds, whenever we get a little confused and the light kind of gets a little faded and clouded over and, confusion predominates, God incarnates. And incarnation is simply a matter of appearing, out of the ground that was already there, but it just sort of reminds us that it's been there all along, and it makes itself clear. So this whole world is an incarnation of God, an incarnation of the divine light. It's a pretty, from our point of view, it's a little hard to understand all of that. But think of when we wake up from a dream. When we were in the dream, do you remember one that you had last night? I don't know if you do or not, but the ones that are vivid, it's like you're really into it. It's really happening. It's pretty weird, but it's really happening. And then you wake up and you just kind of go, wow, that was bizarre. And sometimes you're relieved because maybe it was a little bit of a hairy dream, survival was at stake or something. Do you ever have those dreams where you're trying to run away from something, but you're kind of like molasses and something, or the dreams where you're standing up in front of a crowd of people in your pajamas? Oh, well, so life is a dream, actually. And the great masters are telling us that this, in fact, is a dream. I mean, it seems bizarre when we're in it and really taking it seriously, but don't your dreams, don't you take those seriously when you're in them? And it isn't until you wake up that you say, oh, that was a dream. Ha! What kind of a fun joke that was. I really took that seriously. The masters say that so it is with this. Now, God, for whatever reason, just decided it would be kind of a fun idea to just have a lot of thoughts about what possibilities there were. And so that began this cosmic creation. When you think of an ocean with waves on the sea, well, a calm ocean, there's no waves. But whenever a thought or a breath or a breeze blows across that ocean or that lake, suddenly you get little ripples. And that becomes this whole vast creation. And all of us are just expressions, infinitely multiplying expressions of that ocean of spirit. But you can't have that play unless the play wants to continue itself. So these thoughts kind of have this motion that are part of them that want to keep going. And so we, as individual waves, through God's inspiration, I don't know why, but that's the way it was, think of ourselves as separate from all the other ones. And the trouble with that is that if we think of ourselves as real and important and separate and significant as a separate entity, well, that wave is going to change, and does. And, the one thing constant is change. So this form is always going to change. I'm having this next weekend, Manisha and I are going down to the Bay Area for my 1966 grammar school class 50th year reunion. That seems pretty dreamlike. And the funny thing is that, I don't know about you, but I see YouTube videos of people like James Taylor and Joni Mitchell and stuff, and these people look older than they used to look. I haven't changed. But they just, and I mean, the spirit is still there, but the form has just changed. And I see Gyan Devi back there, and, she's still her same girlish, energetic, magnificent self, but the outward form has changed. And that same applies to us. I mean, maybe you've noticed that things change as the years go by, one way or the other. But the trick is to not identify with this form, and that's what these great souls are telling us. Identify with that spirit, with the light that shines through. Identify with what's eternal. And it's not just, it's not just this dogma where you got to sort of believe in something that's out there. No, you believe in something that's in here. And we've all found this, that when you get to that calm place, that calm where the waves settle down a little bit. So whether it's, when we're actually practicing meditation, which is the best way to do that, or when we're just being God remembering to lift our energy up, to remind ourselves. Smriti is a great Sanskrit word. Smriti means divine remembering. And so whenever we practice smriti, and just in the middle of whatever, just kind of say, oh yeah, you're here. Whew, that was a weird dream where I was taking this thing seriously. Now I identify with that light that's in me. I really feel that. And the more we do that, the more we practice that in meditation, the more we tend to identify with that. And we're able to just step back a little bit. It doesn't mean that we're somehow passive or ineffectual. Just the opposite. By stepping back a little bit, we're able to just kind of not get so caught up in it and actually make better decisions and have a clearer view of things. Well, imagine what it's like for a master that has practiced that long enough, where he's able to step back into infinity, he or she, and actually see it from God's point of view. Picture yourself being in a movie theater, and we're just taking the movie so seriously. And as Yogananda often used to love to do back in the days when, a projector was up there in the booth shining down on the screen, he would say, turn around and look at where the light's coming from, and look at the source of that movie. It's just all light, but it's a great play. It makes for a great movie that we get caught up in. So whenever we think to just kind of turn around and say, oh yeah, that's right, the light, and identify with that. There's a cute story that I heard recently that you've probably heard before too, where back in the day when Master was a young'un in India, before he came here to the U.S., his first task really outwardly was to create a school. And so he had a school with all kinds of enthusiastic schoolboys. And as he tells the story, there were a couple a couple of boys that in particular always fighting with each other. You know, it was just their nature really cantankerous. They were, friends, but still, they just had this nature. And so the nice thing about a guru is that they work with your nature as it is. They don't tell you be something else. They say, okay, let's have you learn a lesson that you need to learn yourself. How can we do that? So he put them together in the same bed in their dormitory and, let them work it out. I mean, there's parallels here, but we'll get back to that in a minute. And so, they did. They kind of had to work it out. So they sort of got along reluctantly, but they did. Well, so he wanted to test them and see how well they learned their lesson. So you can picture him doing this. He's in his 20s. So he kind of sneaks up at night when they're asleep and goes up to the head of the bed and kind of goes thwack to the head of one of them. And immediately the kid says, "Why did you do that?" And the other says, "I didn't do anything." "Yes, you did." And they kind of, argued a little bit, settled down again, went back to sleep. So Master looks at the other one and goes, thwack. "I told you I didn't do anything." And they got to it again and were just about to come to their usual blows, but then they looked up and they saw Master looking down at them. They said, "Oh, you." So it's a great image. Whenever we're in the middle of anything where we're just caught up in it, all we have to do is just remember to look up to the light and see Master looking down at us with a smile. Say, "Oh, you." And it's true, because it is, in fact, a karmic fact of life that the things that happen around us, to us, the opportunities, the tests, the challenges, the impossibilities, the situations that we say, "This isn't fair, I don't want this, I don't deserve this," or even the glories that we have, where this is the best thing that could ever happen, I want it to stay this way. If we just remember that it's all from God, it's all Master's gift to us, it's all Him standing over our bed and saying, "Okay, how are you going to do with this?" There's another story Swami Kriyananda tells where, he was kind of over-intellectual in the early days and was always ratiocination is the word he uses. Ratiocination. That means being overly rational. That's a good word you can use at the bar next time you're... I'm talking about the juice bar, of course. So can place that bet, what does that mean? So anyway, the gears would always be going around. So Master would be working with him on that. And so what he did, they were out at their desert retreat in California in 29 Palms, and Master had this little thing that Kriyananda didn't know about, and he had this paper bag. So he asked somebody else to turn the lights off in the room. And then there's this sound of this paper bag opening, and Master pulls out something, and all of a sudden, these sparks fly out from this little toy pistol that he had. Those little things you squeeze, and it's... So that was kind of surprising. Then he asked the lights be turned back on again, and so he pulls out something else from the bag, and it's a little pop gun. And it goes like that, and a little parachute slowly descends. And so Swami, who's this, intellect trying to figure things out, and how is Master infinite, but, he's in the body at the same time, and, suddenly he's seeing him, do these little pop guns. And so Yogananda says, "How do you like it, Walter?" That's the name he used to call him, Walter. And Swami was just so taken aback, didn't know what to say. He said, they're fine, sir. And Yogananda says, "Suffer little children to come unto God, for such is the kingdom of heaven." So he's quoting Jesus there. But he was just letting Swami experience his own little growth process there, and then reminding him of the lesson, that it's only by letting our hearts be open, calm, trusting, relaxed, pure, bless you, thinking of others instead of getting caught up in our own brains, our own egos, our own body that we identify with, by just relaxing back into that source of light. That's when we come unto God. That's when we remember our true nature. So do this with me now. Just sit up, close your eyes, and lift your eyes up to the point between the eyebrows and see or picture divine light there. And see the source of that light, just like the light coming from the booth in the movie theater, shining down on that screen. See it coming into the back of your neck, which Master said is the mouth of God. That's where cosmic energy enters us to animate us, to animate our dream. See that projecting onto the forehead inside. And what we're beholding, that light we're beholding, is simply a reflection of that cosmic light shining through us. And as we behold that light calmly, with one-pointed focus, opening our hearts, letting our heart be calm, we perceive that as our true identity. That light is eternal. It was here before this particular body, it'll be here after this particular body, but it will always be us. And it's the same light that animates everyone else around us and all the circumstances that come to us. And the more we can offer ourselves consciously, joyfully into that light, the more we identify with it, and we have a lot more fun acting out our particular role in this dream. Okay, we can open our eyes now. Promo, there's a course called the Raja Yoga course, the art and science of Raja Yoga. And it's based on a series of lessons that Swami Kriyananda wrote to just give as accessibly as possible to people the whole spiritual path in a way that's just really practical, really usable. So it's a course that we offer here once a year. And it is just fabulous. I can't say enough about it. So if you have any inclination to be part of that, especially if you haven't done that before, that's like the primo way that we have to share these teachings and make them real in your life. And I would highly recommend doing it. You can talk to the folks out there afterwards about that. Also, if you've done it before and you want to review it, to renew it, just talk to them about how you can do that and what it would take. It is worth it. How many people have done the Raja Yoga course before? Okay. Yay or nay? Okay, good. What else do we want to say about that? I think what I want to say now is that we are going to have what's called, what? The Festival of Light. Okay, something to that. I wonder how many times Swami Kriyananda, in writing this festival, uses the word light. Well, we're going to have a contest and offer a prize to anybody who gives me the correct answer afterwards. Doesn't mean you have to be there thinking if that's not your nature. I'm just saying that, if you want to kind of have a little fun as we do this Festival of Light, and pay attention to how many times we actually use the word light in it. Plural counts, lights is okay. The word flight doesn't count. Okay? Song lyrics, they count every time you hear the word light in a song that we sing, okay? So I have the number, and I have a prize. Okay? Whoever's the first one afterwards that gives me the number outside gets, they don't call us light bearers for nothing. Okay. And anybody else that happened to have the right number but didn't get there first, we have the consolation prize of matchbooks that have a joy symbol on them. It's the wrong joy symbol, but nevertheless, it's a joy symbol. And it says, "Welcome to the Ananda Palo Alto community." So it's the wrong community, but still, I'm not recruiting for Ananda Palo Alto. I'm just saying that's what I happen to have. So anyway. I think on that note, we will invite David and Maria and Evelyn to come up and do some beautiful music.